All right, so you can open your books from yesterday and you should have your notes right in there. Flip them over to the back side and make sure that you're on page 172. All right, so yesterday we talked about inheriting DNA and sometimes how it can be not always DNA not always DNA that gives you your traits, but sometimes your environment around you. Today we're going to be looking at adaptations, both structural and behavioral adaptations. Sometimes a change or mutation happens in in organism's genes. This changed gene can pass from a parent to the offspring. So a mutation is a changed organism or a changed gene. So a mutation is a changed gene. Mutations may be harmful, helpful, or completely neutral, which means it doesn't help or hurt. So harmful or helpful or neutral. Mutations are often harmful. For example, a mutation may cause an animal to no longer have the correct genes to make white blood cells that fight germs. A helpful mutation can be the first step towards an adaptation. Adaptations make an organism fit in the ecosystem better. So, adaptations make an organism fit an ecosystem better. Adaptations make an organism, colors that help an animal hide are adaptations. So, looking at this frog right here, this frog can better avoid its enemies because of structural adaptations, such as the suction cups and its toes and its green skin. So, the skin color was something that it changed from parent to parent until they're able to blend in. Adaptations are especially important when an ecosystem changes. Then, competition is strong for limited food, water, or other resources. Organisms with the best adaptations to compete for resources may survive best. So, when you have to compete for resources because there's not a lot, um, the ones that have the best adaptations may survive best. Best. So then they might reproduce more and pass their genes to their offspring. So they might or they might not because it's a change that happened while they were living. So it might move on to their offspring and it might not. The first section that we're going to read on is structural adaptations. Helpful mutations or some new combinations of DNA may cause changes in body parts. So those helpful mutations may cause changes in body parts. Structural adaptations are changed body parts that help the organism survive in its ecosystem. So again, going on with that frog, the suction cups on its toes, you can kind of see that's going to help them be able to survive in their ecosystem, being able to maybe get spots that other animals can't. For example, if a hummingbird was born with a longer beak than other hummingbirds, the bird might be better at getting food from some flowers in its ecosystem. The longer beak is a structural adaptation that is helpful when living around those flowers. During a drought, the bird may survive when other birds cannot find enough food. The bird might pass the genes for this adaptation to its offspring. After many generations, a large part of the hummingbird population may have this kind of long beak. They would survive better than other hummingbirds. Think of the structural adaptations as a physical thing. Natural selection involves the process of a species developing adaptations. So you can write that down. Natural selection involves the process of a species developing adaptations. All species of living things may experience natural selection. So again, we can see that in our notes. All species of living things may experience natural selection. So it's not always all of them. It could just be some of them, but all of them may experience it. Natural selection helps them survive in different niches and environments. Remember, niches is their different roles or job. So it's going to help them ultimately survive better in their environment. Going on to behavioral adaptations. Were you born knowing how to build a house? That is impossible. Hummingbirds, though, like other birds, are born knowing how to make the kind of home they need. They are also born knowing how to take care of their offspring. These behaviors are due to genes passed from parent to offspring. Behavioral adaptations are inherited behaviors that help animals survive. So again, it's all going to be about survival. And when you see behavioral adaptations, you see the word behavior in there, so that it's going to be really important that it's going to be how they act instead of how they look. Some behavioral adaptations are called instincts. So as humans, we also have instincts. We know different things to do or not do just because of instincts. They affect how an animal behaves around other animals of the same species or different species. Lemmings are small rodents that have an instinct to migrate if their population in an area gets too large. Some animals, like the musk oxen, have an instinct to form a circle around their young when predators threaten them. Not all behaviors of an animal are due to behavioral adaptations. Some behaviors are learned. So it'd be like we don't know how to talk when we are born. That's a behavior that we have to learn. For example, lion parents teach their offspring how to hunt. A lion cub stays with its mother for 2 or 3 years until it can hunt on its own. And then down here is a structural adaptation and a behavioral adaptation you can read through. We're then going to get right into our worksheet for today. So we are going to see, we'll do the top part together. Plants and animals blank half of the genes from each parent in the process of heredity. So you can look through this first one, half of the genes from each parent. They inherit half of the genes. Don't forget your name on there. A blank is a body part that helps an organism survive in its ecosystem. All right, we know that we're either looking for the word mutation or structural adaptation. So we can see that a mutation is a change. Maybe not that. Structural adaptations are changes in body parts. So I know that since it's talking about body part, we're talking structural adaptation. All right, a changed gene is called a blank. Um, Sometimes a change or mutation happens in an organism's gene. So I know a changed gene is called a mutation. Inherited behaviors that help animals survive are called behavioral adaptations. Are inherited behaviors that help animals survive. So I know that is behavioral adaptations. I wanted to do one of these with you, and we are going to do um, number 8 together. Because this was one that was a little bit tricky. It says natural selection happens when an adaptation has been inherited by a few members of a population. And that one is going to be false because it says we are right here. All species of living things may experience natural selection. So I know that that is actually going to be false. You are on your own for 5, 6, and 7. Look through your notes to make sure that that is absolutely correct. This bottom part, it says, how are instincts and learned behaviors alike and different? I'm going to help you with how they are alike. They are alike because they help an animal survive. And then you can start that next one. They are different because. And when you're thinking of instincts and learned behaviors, um, instincts are something that they're born with. Behaviors are something that you obviously have to learn. So make sure that you're putting that into your own words to finish off number 9. And then you are all set for lesson 2. You can put that back in your folder.